One of the biggest mysteries plaguing the Poppy Playtime community is now solvable thanks to the release of Chapter 3. Since the release of the first chapter, the community has wondered who we play as throughout our journey in the now abandoned halls of the old toy company, as it is very integral to why we returned in the first place. Following Chapter 1's release, we are left to assume that we are an ex-Playtime Co-employee who wants to discover the secrets behind the company's mysterious disappearance long ago. The Chapter 2 release provides clarity in that we know we were involved with the experiments in some capacity thanks to Mommy Longlegs recognizing us and saying that we deserve to die.
You worked here, so if anyone deserves to die alone, it's you.
And Chapter 3 recontextualizes everything with the underlying tone and messages we see all throughout the chapter. To briefly recap, Chapter 3 picks up directly where Chapter 2 left off, with us surviving our train crash and heading into Playcare. There, we make a new ally in the form of Ollie, a mysterious voice on the phone that guides us to various locations within Playcare in order to gather enough power to remove the red smoke, preventing us from reaching the prototype. Along the way, we come across various obstacles in the form of Miss Delight, a bigger body class teacher toy that has gone insane due to starvation, and Catnap, the last remaining bigger body type toy of the Smiling Critters, who uses Playcare as his play/hunting ground following what transpired years ago. After completing our task of removing the red smoke and dealing with Catnap, we reconvene with Poppy as she reveals to us where everyone disappeared 2 years ago during the heavily foreshadowed Hour of Joy. She reveals that it was nothing but a massacre in which every single employee was taken out by all the toys that existed there under the command of Experiment 1006, aka the prototype. For doing this, Poppy wants to kill the prototype and take revenge, and we head down to his lair in the labs, ending Chapter 3 and giving us a clear starting point and objective for Chapter 4. Throughout the playtime of Chapter 3, there are a plethora of messages hinting at the true nature of our player character being a victim of the experiments that took place long ago, meaning that we play as a toy. The first and most obvious hint is when meeting back up with Poppy for the first time in this chapter after leaving the Home Sweet Home Manor. While discussing her intentions with us, Poppy mentions getting revenge on the ones that not only tortured her and Missy, but us as well.
What's happening down here is bigger than all of us. And I need you. So we can get revenge on those monsters who've tortured you. Who've tortured us.
This doesn't make any sense if we were just an employee who knew what was happening down here. Hell, we would have been doing the torturing if that were the case, and someone would have been justified in taking revenge on us for doing so. Even the way Poppy refers to us as capable and perfect doesn't sound like she's referring to a person, but an experiment that is perfect for the task at hand.
We've all seen you. How capable you are. You killed Huggy. You killed Mommy. You freed me. You are perfect for this.
Following this line of thinking, it also makes sense as to why Catnap does not even remotely attempt to kill us, even though he could from the beginning and all throughout the game until the end, where we are closer to reaching and potentially harming the prototype, the one that Catnap loves and reveres so much. He's showing mercy to a fellow victim of Playtime Co.'s experiments, even warning us to leave Playcare or else he will take action against us for taking action against him. And I know what you're thinking. In Chapter 2, Mommy Longlegs said that we used to work here. And even in Chapter 3, Miss Delight mentions that we've returned to save our friends, but this doesn't break the theory. In fact, it adds context to it. Thanks to tapes of Harley Sawyer and Project Playtime, we know that Playtime Co. also employed toys on their workforce in the form of the Bigger Bodies Initiative.
My name is Harley Sawyer. I'm called the Doctor. When I look at this company we've built, I do not feel proud. Declining profits, failed experiments, people are constantly seeing things they shouldn't. I'm here now with a solution. The Bigger Bodies Initiative. We can increase our workforce and simultaneously decrease the number of lawsuits and people on our payroll if the people we have working aren't people.
From Huggy Wuggy working security, to Mommy Longlegs looking over the children at the PlayStation, to Mr. Light teaching the children at school, to any other unknown amount of experiments that could have existed, we've already seen examples time and time again of toys working there, so why couldn't we? It makes sense now that we are a toy who managed to escape but has returned at the behest of Poppy because we feel guilty for escaping and leaving our friends behind, which was hinted at in the cardboard cutouts of the smiling critters.
I've never been outside before. Will you come with me? I'm scared.
Listen, this won't stop until we make it to the moon. I'm lost without you. I've been lost a long time. Please, take me with you this time. You won't leave me, will you?
If you still aren't convinced, then take into consideration this final piece of evidence. When we first enter the Home Sweet Home manor, we breathe in the red smoke, which causes us to hallucinate. During our hallucination, we remember radio broadcasts of a discovery at Elliot Ludwig's home. However, we also pass by a tape that seemingly plays gibberish, but the truth is revealed once we reverse the audio. A voice scolds us for returning to Playtime Co. while continually repeating the date 8/8/1995.
You were supposed to be here. Why weren't you here? You missed the event. You missed the meeting. You missed the party. You have no right to be here. 8/8/1995. I find your presence intrusive. After all this time you return. You come in here and you kill and murder. You pillage and destroy. Your presence was demanded 10 years ago and you didn't show up. 8/8/1995. You were supposed to be here. Why weren't you here?
This is the date of the hour of joy. The voice then complains that we weren't there when we were demanded to be, and that we missed the party, the meeting, the event. Now, this audio is interesting for multiple reasons. The first being that we knew about the hour of joy before Poppy showed us the tape. How could we have known about this day if we were just a simple employee who just so happened to not be there that day? It also would be strange that our presence would have been demanded that day. And I don't know about you, but I don't think any of the humans there would consider what happened that day a party or a meeting. It doesn't make sense unless we're a toy. That day would have been a party of sorts, a kind of meeting, and our presence would have been demanded as all the toys there were necessary for the plan to work. All of the toys, including us, a fellow bigger body type toy. But whose voice is chastising us? Who is it that demanded we be there that day? Who is it that is so upset that after all these years we came back after we'd already freed ourselves? Well, it can be none other than the prototype, the one who orchestrated the event, the one who's to blame for the way things are now, the one who started this entire series of events. So now that I've explained how it's possible for us to play as a toy throughout this game, I want to also bring up a potential candidate. I think the toy that we play as true identity is Rich, the disgruntled employee we hear tapes about during each chapter. The tapes usually shed some light and insight into what happened throughout the games, but the tapes about Rich just seem off. Why do we need to hear from an employee who is seemingly inconsequential throughout all 3 games? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to put together that there'd be employees working there that hate their job. In real life, people have jobs that they despise all the time. I think we're being fed information about him because he is who we play as. In chapter 1, Rich complains about how much work he's got to handle and expresses care for the orphans there. In chapter 2, we find out that he's been demoted for complaining so much, possibly in relation to the children that are being held there. And in chapter 3, we hear him voicing his concerns again for the children and even potentially getting a promotion. I think that this promotion was actually into a bigger body toy in order to shut him up because he knows too much to just fire and let roam free. It then makes sense that he'd find a way to escape because he worked maintenance there and then came back because he was worried for the other kids and people who were being experimented on there. I hope that I've managed to convince you that we play as a toy, and if you aren't convinced, then we'll just have to wait for the release of chapter 4, which will possibly be the final chapter in the series, and we'll have to wrap up everything in a nice little bow, and I'm sure we'll get 100% clarification on what the character that we play as is. Until then, if you made it this far, I just want to say subscribe, and thank you for watching.